Hi professors! So this is our presentation, our final presentation for the class. Our group consists of Bancola, myself, Mayowa, and Samuel, and I'm just gonna start. So in terms of implementing signs to the school layout, I use 4 types of signs, starting with informational signs. These signs basically just inform the person about the location, so it could be office hours or services available. The second type of signs is directional signs, and these basically just gives a person direction to where they want to go. The third type of sign is identification sign. It just helps the person identify they are at the right location. It would typically include the company, department, or an individual's name, accompanied with the room number. Lastly, the safety signs are usually just emergency procedures. So for example, you'd see them at fire extinguishers, like a little sign telling you how to use it in case of an emergency. Moving on, so this is how I decided to distribute the signs throughout the school. I'm gonna go into each one and explain why I used each one for a specific task. So I'm gonna start with information signs, which is the blue. I basically labeled each classroom with an information sign indicating what classes are taking place at which classroom and at what times. And this is to ensure that students aren't confused. They know exactly when a classroom is vacant and when it's not, so students can use it for school projects, or if it's a new student, they can easily identify the location. And moving on to directional signs, I spread them throughout campus. They're the green circles, and I made sure that they're widespread so that nobody gets confused or lost. I started with the entrance so that right from the get-go the person knows exactly where they are and where they need to go to get to their desired location. I also put one in each different section of the school, so if you're moving from the cafeteria to the gym, you'll find directional signs that tells you where you are and where you have to go to a different location. Moving on to the identification signs, I basically use them to label places such as the washroom, the change room, the staff rooms, the front desk, or any location really that doesn't require to be accompanied with information, but needs to be easily identifiable by any person. Lastly, safety signs are also scattered throughout campus for ease of accessibility. I put them in the 4 corners of the school, as well as in the center, as well as in the courtyard and the basketball court. And they're the red dots, as you can see. And the reason why I put them on each corner and each location so that they're easily accessible by anyone, a student or a teacher at any time, if need be or in case of an emergency. Moving on to the sign that I designed. So it's an identification sign, and everything I used to design this sign was taken from course materials as well as ADA standards. So I used Arial as the text font, and I made sure that it's uppercase since ADA standards say that it should be in uppercase if it's a sans serif font. I made sure the height of the text is 5/8 inches to adhere to ADA standards, as well as the number. And I made sure all texts were consistent in the size so that they're equally as visible. And that's because there's not a lot of content on the screen, and I want to make sure that everything is equally legible. Moving on to the Braille, I added Braille for ease of accessibility. I also made sure that the Braille has 3/8 inches distance between the text and the Braille because to adhere to ADA standards. I also made sure that the sign itself is 55 inches from ground level, something that we discussed in class, and it starts from the bottom of the text. And moving on to the colors and the contrast, I made sure that the color of the text highly contrasts with the background so it's easily legible for anyone. I also made sure that the text is in black so that even people that are colorblind can easily read the sign. And I also made sure that the background is non-glare. So yeah, that's all for my design. It's simple yet accessible, and I hope you liked it. It was an excellent semester, and thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Bankole.
My name is Mayowa.
And we're doing section 2, designing a wayfinding path for someone with glaucoma. First of all, we're designing the path from point A, the main entrance, to point B, the library. As you can see, the path consists of classes and meeting sections and labs, and at this point there's a junction, and we've basically designed the pathway for someone with glaucoma to move from point A to point B. We have 4 design principles, design elements: navigation map, signs, colors, and lighting. And basically we're designing it, like I said, for someone with glaucoma. Glaucoma is, according to the National Eye Institute, is a group of diseases that affects the optic nerve. Basically it becomes very hard for someone to see, and it's more like a circle. You can only see certain things. It blurs out the side vision. Okay.
So one of the elements we chose to do was a navigation map at the entrance of the space. So according to the accessibility design standards, navigation maps should be 1,200 meters in height and tilted. So the second image meets those requirements in terms of height and tilt, but the first image has audio capabilities, tactile capabilities, and also just regular navigation for just people who are without disabilities. So a combination of the height and tilt of this image and the capabilities of the first will make the navigation map in the space that we've chosen more accessible to and inclusive to a large portion of the population.
Okay. Next we have directional signs. We're going to include the first directional sign at the main entrance. So when the person with glaucoma walks into the school, the first directional sign will be included to show the person how to navigate through the school. Also, like we said, we also have the navigation map. Secondly, the directional map will also be here. Will also be here at this junction, and we've designed it according to the ADA standards. It will be 1,525 millimeters above the wall, with the characters 75 millimeters, and we've also decided to use dark characters on a bright background, on a bright non-glare background. Also, we've decided to use identification signs, especially at the library, so when the person gets there, they know they've actually reached their point of destination. And we've decided to use something similar to this, a matte brown background with gray characters, and same thing with the ADA standards, 1,525 millimeters above the ground, 75 millimeters in character.
So one of the wayfinding principles that we were told was to give each region within the space its own unique visual characteristic. So we decided to do this with colors. So from the main entrance to the library, there are about 5 classrooms. So we decided to make all the classrooms blue, so that each time the navigator entered into any classroom, they will know that they were immediately in the classroom. So according to research, blue has been proven to lead to relaxation and calmness, and has also been proven to reduce feelings of anxiety. And yellow has been proven to make, and we chose to make the library itself yellow because yellow has been proven to make a room more energetic and also stimulate creativity. Another element we chose was to give each region a different lighting level. So we decided to make the hallways and corridors. We decided to make the libraries brighter than the hallway and corridors. So according to the accessibility design guidelines, the hallways and corridors should be usually between 100 lighting measurements and as well as natural lighting, and libraries should be a combination of between 300 to 400 lighting measurements and primarily artificial lighting in order to avoid glare.
Hi professors. So I'm doing part C, as you see here. I'm going to be talking about the signages used at the registrar's office. So as you can see here, this is a photo of our registrar's office, and this is located in the innovation complex. So it's not a large space, so why don't we jump right in? So as you see here, we have 3 different types of signage. So this is the front door. We have room identification sign here. So these are the zoomed up versions of that. And there's also an exterior sign here. So this here just highlights as a large sign. It's about 5 times the size of our room identification signs. And right here in the lineup, there are temporary signs used to notify our guests if there's any updates of how they want the lineup to be or any pressing issues. So that's the types of signage used. So what I'll be talking about today is our room signages. So room signages, this is what it looks like. And then looking at the ADA standards, I wanted to make sure if they met the requirement. And luckily, they met all the requirements. I'll be walking through that except one, just a really minor issue. So the first one is the material finish. They use non-glare. As you can see, I have used flash and it has not made any impairments to the photo. So anybody with any visual disabilities will have no issues, and as well as they use a dark character against a light background. So it's very, very clear to the eye. Tactical character depth, it meets the 0.03 inches minimum. Also that it is tactically raised, as you see here. You can't really see in the photo, but it is tactically raised. And also it uses braille. So the braille is actually located here. So that's also an issue. You can't really tell where the braille is unless you look very close to it. With someone with visual disability, that's a huge issue if you can't even tell by photo. So it is currently raised to 0.035 inches, but the one thing that it's not meeting in the ADA standards is that it is not domed or round shape. It is very sharp and uncomfortable to the touch. Next, the mounting and height of the location meets the 60-inch maximum above the floor. And lastly, second to last, location of the sign is mounted adjacent to the latch of the door, and the size of the text does meet that 1-inch height requirement. So I decided to fully redesign this sign and ensure that it is up to the ADA standards 100%. So as you see here, this is the new redesign. This is adapted from the ADA standards booklet itself. So everything else meets the standard now. I've changed the background, so now it's light character against the dark background. So even on the phone, you can notice that it's much more eye-catching and also visually clear for our users. Character depth is same as before, tactile is raised same as before, but what is different now is not only is the braille, you can now visually see it because it's white, but also it's raised to the 0.035 inches like before, but now it's domed or round shaped depending on our users or UTM what they want. But now everything's more visually clear. Mounting is the same, location is the same, size of text is still also 1 inch in height. So this is kind of the superhero of all room signages, meeting all the ADA standards to the fullest. And next, I decided to highlight the wayfinding system at the registrar's office. So the registrar's office, once again, it's in the innovation complex. And this is a schematic that I've designed on Illustrator of that schematic. So inside the innovation complex, the registrar's office is located more so in the center bottom of the building, and there are 4 entrances, 1 on each side. So there's 2 entrances here and 2 entrances here. So surprisingly, even at an institution that's building finished construction in 2015, there is only one wayfinding system, and that's this description sign here. So you've probably seen it at a doctor's office or whatnot. You walk in, you'll be able to see what offices are in this building. So it's great because every guest that comes in, they'll be able to know if they're in the right building because they can see what office is there. But the issue is that this building is large. So a lot of guests are going to end up walking around in circles because they don't know which room number starts where. So then, actually, sorry, forgot to also highlight right in the middle here, just seating area. So you can just kind of get a grasp of how large the space is. People are going to be walking in and out, not sure of where they need to go. So what I decided to do is add another wayfinding system that meets the UTM wants for prestige and cleanliness of their building. So what I decided to add is interior identification signs. So at every entrance, not only will we continue to have the description signs, on the left and right of each of the door, we're also going to have interior identification signs that highlight a range of room numbers. So for instance, if you walk inside this building here and you walk to the left, you're going to see an interior sign that says, okay, these are the room numbers from here to whichever on this side. So then you know whichever direction you walk into, which room number you're going to. So this not only adds to the efficiency of the use of the building, but also using this type of sign keeps it kind of on the wall and not in anybody's way. So this minor kind of switch or even addition to a wayfinding system of UTM can significantly improve the quality of not only the life of the students, but also just the efficiency and use of the building. So that is the wayfinding system redesign of the UTM building, the innovation complex. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in to our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. But thank you so much for a great term, and this is our assignment. See you later.